Program tonight is going to be hidden safes and letters. Another use for books from the library, which, believe it or not, they were very interested when I went to the library and I was looking at books and they were saying, what title are you looking for? I'm saying, not really looking for titles. I'm looking for books to fit a certain size or what I want. Because, like I said, the libraries in Forsyth County, they have 2 of them that have volunteer where you can go in and buy books. You can physically go buy books. So kids' books are $1 and adult books are $2, so you can get what you want. So I thought some of these, like Tom Clancy and Gone with the Wind would be an excellent book for hiding guns in, or stuff like that. I just thought it would be good. So we're going to do that. And I thought tonight what would be best is to do it from total. So what we're going to do is we did these ahead of time, and they don't have the thing, and I'll get them right here. This is one we did. There's where the gun would go. It's not that difficult to do. I'm going to show it this way so you guys can see it, just in case you're not looking at the screen. But I'm saying it's not that difficult to do. Once you do it, you put it in there, it stands there. That works well for doing guns. The big books, you need a little bit because you need the thickness. You need a little bit of thickness for the guns you're using, or what you're trying to hide in them. So that's what you have to think about when you're doing it. Now, for doing the letters that we're going to show up here that I've got right here, those letters, believe it or not, work well. And if you can go to yard sales, people are basically giving the boxes away. Of course, I couldn't find any of the old Reader's Digest. And the reason they work so well is because you got a good binding that works, and they always have funky covers on, so they work really well. And the other side we'll talk about when we get it is the sizing of your letters. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do a jewelry box book. So there's my book I picked, and I'm going to put this ring box inside of this jewelry box. So what I'm going to do, number one, I'm going to get rid of this paper cover for right now. I don't want to have to mess with it later, okay? I'm going to take the book and I'm going to look at my distance here that I've got. I can keep a few pages, so I'm going to keep a few pages there, and I'm going to keep a few pages in the back, in front. So you see what I did? You can see it hopefully you can see it on the screen. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'll be here. I'll get it back. Okay, I'm going to take a piece of this in here. I could use, what I'm doing now is just basically cutting this the size I need it.
You said a piece of this. What is this?
This is just a piece of thin wood. Or it could be a piece of cardboard. It could be whatever you want. What I don't want to do is when I take this together, I want the tape to come off of it and not tear the page in the book. Is what I'm trying to do. Because what I've got to do is I got to glue a pattern. I want to glue my side, or I want to draw the shape. I want to do it or whatever. So I'm going to put this on here, and for some reason it didn't want to go. So anyway, so that's going to give me my piece. So I'm going to come over here real quickly. I swear I could do that. Okay. Very detailed, very delicate, making sure I stayed on the line. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take one piece and put it in there, and then I folded this book back like this, and I'm going to put the other piece back here. Okay, now what I'm going to do with two hands is I'm going to come over here and take this. Okay. Because what you want believe it or not, you can cut oak, walnut, cherry, maple, or whatever. But I will cut this one book. My blade will be spent. My blade will be gone. Paper just dulls a blade worse than anything else. So what I've done, and you also want a book in the camera. You want a book. See how it's got a double binding? Has a binding for the outside cover, and then has a binding where the pages go. What that does is allows you to do what I'm doing here without totally damaging it. Okay. So I'm going to get that on there. Now I'm going to hide this ring box in here. So I'm going to come in here. And I'm going to draw this out. Okay, so I've got where my ring box is. That's my actual thing. I am going to make sure I cut outside that line. Now, what I said is you want to make sure that that the pages are tight. If it's not compact together, it doesn't cut real well. So I found out this works very well. And what I'm doing is I'm stapling in the area that's going to be cut out and gone. I'm not stapling in the pages because I want the book, you can glue it back together later. Some people glue them, some people don't. But you can leave them and they even flap the book and they won't know something's in it. Whoops, okay. And hopefully this one's not too long. It's a little bit long, I think. But that's what goes. Okay. This one's a tiny bit long. I should have probably not folded as many pages back, but they'll be close enough. Okay, now.
Were your staples long enough to go all the way through to the back side of the board?
I really didn't want them to, but they did in this case. I don't want them to. Even if they don't even go to that back board, I don't care. They just go through the pages of the book and they hold the pages from moving back and forth when I'm trying to solve.
But you want all of the pages stapled up.
Most of them.
Most of them, if you can. If you can. I mean, you know, we're going to do another one different way. We'll do the letters a different way, and we really don't care. So now what I'm going to do is take this over here to the drill. I'm getting better, guys. I'm sorry. And what I'm going to do, you notice, okay, when you're drilling, I found out just an old-fashioned drill bit works the best. Trying to use a Forester bit and those things, they cause opportunities. But I'm just saying, and you're saying, well, man, that's big. I use like a 1/8 or 1/16 inch. Nah, you don't for this. You might as well make a big hole to get in because I'm taking rid of it and getting rid of it anyway. So now I have a holy book. And what I'm going to do, just so I don't, this is the one I had, wasn't it? I'm gonna saw this direction only because I don't want those staples to hit on the table. I'm going to be close enough for what I'm trying to do. Does everybody understand what I'm doing?
You're upside down on the staples now, right?
I'm up the staple. I got the staples up. I got the staples up, so I'm not going to scratch the bottom. Okay, so now what I got to do is take it apart. Thanks to Marcus today, I got some knobs, so I don't have to find my piece. I'm a bottom feeder, so it's going down. Huh? Okay. Blade-wise, we found out in the process, I'm using an ultra-reverse, seems to work fine. A polar blade will work okay. Spiral blades don't work with a flip. They just shred the paper.
What's
I got a number 5 in here right now. Number 5 ultra-reverse. Okay, now, remember what I said about watching the line. As you can see, I'm going to be outside the line. I know that. Once I get going, I'm going to be outside the line. Because I'm just trying to make this cavity for this ring. And paper cuts, I'm going to say kind of like oak, but what I'm saying, because I guess because of the density in paper itself, like if you use a knife on paper, you know how it cuts, how it dulls your blade on your knife, it'll dull the same thing on a saw blade. And I put that tape there and I put that board there, so when I take it off, I don't have any, I don't tear the pages out. So you could use a piece of stiff cardboard. You could use you know, some other cardboard, any waste type material you want to use. Thank you, sir. And you could glue the paper pages back if you wanted to, but so that's how you can do it. And so you can make any, so like I said, if you were hiding money or something, you might want to find a plastic box that's good, that fits in there. So you just don't have the loose bills in there. So they're confined. I guess you could, if you need it 10, if you're going to put $1,000 bills and wrap them in hundreds and you're going to put them in different, number of books, then,
Not in my house.
yeah. But I'm just saying, it's a way to do it. Okay. Now that's the books. Now you do identically the same thing doing the guns. What you got to do in the guns is make sure, same thing there, you got thickness and you've got it, and you don't want to make it so tight that it's hard to get out. In some cases, when you draw your pattern, you might want to make it, I think it's this one, isn't it? See, even make it so you've got some place to grab it. That's our gun we put in it for tonight. That's what we did for that. So that's not that difficult to do. I mean, does anybody think they could want to do it, or might want to do it, or do something with it? But like I said, the other thing is, if you cut one, you might want to change blades and cut a new blade, because that paper just eats your blade apart. But they work fairly well.
That wasn't the gun we actually did on there. We had a real tight, beautiful fit, and we couldn't get the gun out. So we had to go out there and cut a little bit on the outside.
So I had to cut it, so I had to retrim it, which...
Yeah, but it was a different gun that was in there.
Different gun, but we were just doing it to show it. Okay, now, the other one I saw, was letters. Am I messing up by putting them over here? I'll put them this way so you can see them. And we can pass some around here. And Rob did some. Now these patterns are really difficult to come up with. I mean, you go on your computer and decide how big of letters you want for the size book you have. I mean, you could do one letter out of this if you wanted to, okay? But in my case, I decided I wanted to get 2 letters out of the book. So in this case, I can get 2 letters out of that one book. Okay, now, the rules of this that you have to be careful of is, number 1, see how you got the lip here? You got the binding is outside of the paper of the text of the book. You really don't want that there. You want to cut it off, believe it or not. You want to cut that off because you want a good flat, nice flat, you want a nice flat surface. Okay? Now see, this one see it's got an edge on it, but over time what's going to happen is because of the support, it's going to go down. See, if you take some of these letters, I mean, if you had the binding, they would sag in the middle. Okay? Now, Rob glued his together. Okay? Mine are not glued at all.
Mine are stapled together. Then they are.
Okay. But mine are just, you could still read this book. It'd be a little holy, but you know, you could still read it. And I like the Reader's Digest because it gives you that funky letters.
You notice he gave me the ones that didn't have anything except for solid color.
Yeah.
He gave me 2 books too.
Well, he also, you notice he did the R? You'll notice real carefully.
It's upside down.
Yeah. I mean, even the ones he's got, at least this one he can read, you know. This one was the third twin in a small town girl, you know. And this one was the Blue Nowhere. That was a good one. And this one was To the Hilt and Burning Man.
The R is the only one that was upside down. The rest were, but
Yeah. But you got to watch those little tricks. You may want to do that way or whatever. It's something you got to worry about. Okay. But, so we're gonna do one.
You said you glue the pages back?
Huh?
no.
No, you said if you do.
You want to pass these around? You can.
We
Okay.
just
Now
stapled them together.
what we need to do. I need the box. We're gonna draw. Okay.
You can win a Rob. No.
Okay. 975. 975. Okay. What letter would you like? Last name or first name? You get one letter.
Last name.
Last name. So we need a M. Okay. What letter would you like, son? Your first name, your letter of your first name or your last name? I may get myself in trouble here, but watch. H. Okay. So we're going to do an M and an H. Can you get me an M and an H, sir, out of this? And make me an M and an H? And I'm going to take my book and prepare my book. Now, we're going to pass these around. This is what the stuff comes from. And because I'm using painter's tape, I haven't run into the problem. So what I'm going to do, I probably wouldn't want, if I'm cutting this book and I'm not going to cut it until this weekend, I probably wouldn't want to bind it till this weekend. And you guys, what did you guys do with my tape? There, okay. So what I'm going to do is, I've got an M and an H I've got to get out of this book for these two people here, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this book and I'm going to tape it so it stays shut. Ask questions if you got them while I'm taping,
How
guys.
easy does your painter's tape go off the paper piece of that cover? So where you're right now, no issues with tearing any paper off?
Now, that's why I said as long as you
Don't let it sit.
don't sit too long, painter's tape by definition usually has a 6 or 7 day, you know, no peel, the walls and everything else. And
Some letters work better than others.
some letters work better than others. What you have to do, depending on what your letters are, like for instance, Rob had an O. Rob had to make the O a little flat on the bottom, and he also had to make it flat on the side because you want a piece of the binding to stay. That's what keeps it together.
You also have the inside cuts on some that you don't on others.
Yeah. Like in my case, the two I lucked out on, I got an M and an H. I have no inside cuts.
I noticed they glued this. Is that a reason you glued this together?
That was, there's just different ways you can do it. You can do it glued or not glued.
Actually, I put glue on it afterwards. We did have some pin nails in and started gluing some. I glued it on the outside so it stayed, you know, that way you open up the cover, you didn't have to fumble through pages, it would all stick together good. That's the only reason it was glue on the outside, so it would stick together.
What kind of glue?
Say it?
What kind of glue?
That was just type bond.
Yeah, I don't think it,
I just wanted to hold the pages together, so if you wanted to get it open in a hurry, you didn't have to pull 4 or 5 pages out of the way to get to it. Not that I'd use this thing, but, I have 5, 6 that have guns in it, mine don't say in the book.
but you know, it was just an idea we had and what we were gonna do and use it. Okay, now, what I wanna do is I wanna tape all the way to that edge. Because I want to tape all the way to the edge because that's where my pattern's going to go. Okay, so now I've got this down. We're going to do an M and an H. Okay, so we got an M and an H here.
Camera's not aimed at what you're doing.
What am I?
No, you got it, you're good.
Okay, I'm going to put an M and an H. And this happens to be, I think it's a 3-inch letter is what I'm using here. And I just went in and just went out on Word and just found some letters that I thought would work that had, bulk of them had straight sides and straight bottoms in the alphabet. And then I just blew it up and printed it out until I got what size I want. Okay, there may be other ways of doing that, but that's the way I did it. So now, in my case, I use rubber cement to do my patterns and everything else down. Some people use things, but I just use rubber cement. So I'm going to put rubber cement on my letter. And I'm using the book, I'm using my area where I put the blue tape as my place where I put on the rubber cement. And then I'm going to coat my blue tape with rubber cement. And I'm going to let it dry just a little bit, because then when it does, I'm going to have contact paper. Rob, give me that block of wood, please, off the drill press. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the M and the H. I'm going to raise them up. If you'll see right here, see how I got the blue tape that's off the edge? Okay, I'm backing that letter away from the edge. Why? So I cut that lip off the book at the same time, and I'm bringing the 8. So that's why I'm using 3-inch letters on this book, and this book seems to work well. Okay, so I've got this down, and I'm going to put one more piece of blue tape, maybe 2, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, just for the part of it, I'm going to put it across this edge here to keep it from possibly flapping. Okay, now, since they've got 2 good ones, since we've got 2 good letters, and they're easy, I'm going to go in and probably, I'm just going to cut them. I'm just used to cutting. Okay, now, I'm making sure that we've got, I got to do it this way so the camera can get it. Make sure I got the binding edge. Oh, look at that. I think she's going to have an upside down letter. So see, in my case, I can do this just like this. You guys are supposed to catch that. Okay. Luckily his H, I can do any way I want. Okay. It won't make any difference. Okay. So, but I do want to have this edge on, because that's what holds the letter together. I'm leaving everything else together, and we're gonna have some fun to see what we can do. They work really good. Different books, different style letters. As Rob said, you can glue them back together, or you can pin nail them together. And in this case, I didn't pin nail, and they're starting to flop.
Did you change the blade out?
I didn't change the blade. I only cut that one little box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin nail in what's going to be cut out. Now it might not flop as much. I saw these down in Florida in a gift shop. They were selling them for $9.95 a letter. And they made them out of Reader's Digest leather. Now, my partner back here, this is his scroll saw class, but Rob, he did Rob over there on the table, okay? R-O-B. What letters did he cut out with a bandsaw versus a scroll saw? He cut the insides with
Scroll
scroll
saw
saw.
class, so we would not use a bandsaw. So they're all done with scroll saw. But it did cut it really good on the outside. You could have done it with a bandsaw.
But like I said, if you went into Word and you made letters the size of your book, your letters would only be. The other side is when you get books or get books for the letters. The little thicker books are a little bit better because they'll hold up, they'll stand up better. But remember, you've got a limit on how thick you can get them. You don't want to probably go any thicker than 1 3/4 inches if you have a DeWalt saw, because otherwise you won't be able to cut it because it'll keep hitting. But I found that the Reader's Digest have that funky thing. Some of the books you take the jacket off and they've got beautiful reds and greens and whatever. And if you're doing it the way I'm doing it with 2 letters, don't put if your name is Jane, you don't want to put the J and A on one book and N and E on the other book, because then you'll get 2 of the same color and 2 of the same color. So I'm just, you just have to do it. It may be what you want, maybe. But I thought it was kind of an interesting thing. It's got a lot of ability. And you could do it. What are some other things you could cut out besides letters? Huh? You cut out flowers? And I guess in a way, right now I'm stack cutting. And what I'm doing right here is no different than if you were going to make your Christmas cards. In theory, you could make your Christmas cards out of one book if you wanted to. And you could cut whatever that design is, then take that design and just glue that design to a piece of cardboard, a piece of heavier paper. You could have like a doily type Christmas card. Maybe it's a tree, and you put the that would drive people crazy. They see the print, and then you got this thing attached to a red background or a green background. I'm just an idea. But it's got some weird things. But like I said, paper is hard. Now, for those that missed the January meeting, which was 3D cutting, Bob and the cameraman and Bob put it together. He graciously, it's out on YouTube, and it's getting quite a few hits. I didn't think it was one of my better presentations, but I've gotten some comments. I've got some decent comments, but it's out there. And for those people who don't know, all our classes, most of them are put on YouTube at some point in time, and then they go out there, and so you can see any class that you may have missed. Like, see, next month's class, we'll be doing those picture frames of jewelry, and then it'll be on YouTube. I didn't tell the person that was teaching that next month, I didn't teach him that. I didn't tell him that. I didn't think she might not want to do it. Mr. Rao, I know this is difficult, but could you cut out this M for me, please? Okay. So there's my H. I didn't do too bad. So you cut in the thing on the bottom. Okay, now.
You want me to do it now, or what are you done?
You could cut it now when I can. Okay, I'm being a little careful when I'm using my chisel to make sure I don't pick up the paper, because I may have an edge that I can pick up. But other than that, the tape pulls off pretty easily. And it's on both sides, because remember, that's what's holding my book together while I'm cutting. So long here to. We're going to pass it around, but make sure this gets back to him. Okay, now, who's got my letters? I just need to, okay, behind me? Okay, I get them. Okay. There's the A. That's what I made it from. What I did is made sure I kept the same width of the letters. Can you see it on the screen up there? See, what I did is make sure I had the same width.
Yeah, different font.
So I had the same font, I had the width, and what I did is I just blocked it so it would be that way. Okay? This is probably a good example here. There's the O, here's the C. You have to do the same thing to a C as you would the O. Just make sure that this side here comes to the binding edge, and then you had a flat surface on the bottom. Now, you better listen up. You got the same opportunity with the S.
Smell the paper burning.
You got to make sure it has a little bit on the binding edge. You want to have him look at that. You might want to look at that closely. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Most of those letters are wider, but have like the M's got two legs or whatever.
Yeah.
But what about if you're making an I or a T?
That's why I use this type of letter. If I use an I or a T, because it has that inch wide bottom, and it's an inch wide. It's roughly an inch wide.
And the same thing for a Y?
Yeah, what I'm saying, it's an inch wide. It's an inch. What'd you do? Break it?
Ren, I guess.
Because it's an inch wide and the book is that wide. It's got a base about that size. I didn't do it, sir.
Must have been a boring book.
It's all your fault. It's your letter.
We can manually.
But anyway, let me see if I can find the other one. The other one that's a difficult one. You got the G. The G becomes an opportunity. The J makes it a little bit tougher because see your binding edge is going to be down here. I mean, unless you want to do it the other way, you could do it backward. You could do the letter the other way if you wanted to. But if you were trying to keep all the binding edges on one side. See, P is easy. U is easy because you can block it. A T, it's a standing, it'll be fine. V's and W's, they work really well. X's are fine. Y's not a problem with this way because you got it, it's standing and standing up. And see Y, what you can do is you got this here, and you can have an edge over here. Make it come to the edge a little bit.
Back up to the T.
To where?
Plug it in without the switch on.
I turned the switch off.
I mean, without the switch.
Now, where's your binder going? All the way down or just that one spot?
Just that one spot? Look at the S.
Into the front.
The S.
Is it not going to want to flare open or?
You can glue them if you wanted to. I didn't glue them, but as it flares open, what does it do? Makes it stand better.
I use a fine pin nailer.
He used a pin nailer in them to make them a block. It's whatever you prefer. But like I said, let's just see. Any questions? Any more questions on that?
There was a couple things.
There's other things you can do to make it happen.
Okay, there's a couple of things I noticed when I was doing it.
Okay.
First one, when I cut the V out of here, I was too close to the edge here. And you can see on the bottom here where I still have this, where I didn't really cut anything off of here, and this was doing nothing. So you want to try and bring it in a little bit so you got more of the edge, so you have it on here. And that wasn't too bad. And Hans didn't mention though that he put it on there when he put it on, but you want to make sure that you start with the left side is always on the edge where the binder's at. And that's what he did, but he didn't mention it to you, just so you know to start off with there. That holds it all together. And that was it. Okay.
No more questions, huh? Too simple. But there's a lot of things you can put inside. You can make, find plastic boxes. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be safe. It could be for a secret hiding place for a child, for something,
Well, you could put it like a ring box with a ring in it when you go to propose, just give her a book.
Just give her a book. You know, or if you want to give somebody a gift. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming tonight. Good night.